be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, you know they know I'm hot.
What's the deal? What's going on, my good people? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Thursday. Hope you all are doing well. If this is your first time here, I want to welcome you. Pull up a seat. I hope you enjoy the content. And before we get into this cooking video, I want to ask that you like, comment, share, subscribe. Go ahead and tap that bell while you're at it so you're notified anytime I drop a brand new video, go live, or schedule a premiere. All right, y'all. So we back in the kitchen. We are cooking today. I'm making homemade pizza. Homemade vegan pizza to be exact. So we're making crust from scratch. We're doing the sauce, the whole shebang, y'all. So I'm really excited about this. So let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get the cooking. Let's get started with our dough. These are all the ingredients that you'll need. I'll go over every ingredient and the measurements. You'll need 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry yeast, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of organic sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 of a cup of warm water, and 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So first up, what we're going to do is take the water, the yeast, and sugar and add it into a bowl. And we're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes. Now, when we come back, this is how it should look. It should look kind of frothy. Now, if it doesn't look frothy, then more than likely there is an issue with the yeast, okay? So next up, what we're going to do is go ahead and add in the oil and also go ahead and add in the salt. Now let's go ahead and add in the flour. I added in the flour a little bit at a time, and you can stir or mix by hand or use a mixer. And then once the flour has been added in, it is now time to knead the dough. And don't be afraid to add an extra flour if you need to, if the dough feels sticky. So you'll want to go ahead and knead the dough for about, say about 4 or 5 minutes. And now we have our dough. I have it in a ball. I went ahead and put it in a bowl, and I greased the bowl as well. I'm going to let this sit for about an hour on the table. And you want to cover it with a towel, paper towel, something for it to cover, and we're looking for it to rise within an hour. Now let's go ahead and move on to our sauce. So I want to make a roasted bell pepper and tomato sauce. So I have 1.5, but you can use 1.5 to 2 bell peppers, and I have 7 Roma tomatoes, 7 small Roma tomatoes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and add some olive oil. I'm also going to add some pink Himalayan salt. I kind of want to add a little bit of flavor to this before I pop it in the oven. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add some black pepper as well. And what I'm going to do is preheat the oven to 400 degrees. And I'm going to put the veggies in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. This is what I'm looking for. Nice and caramelized, cooked down. You know, you get that natural sweetness out of the peppers once they cook down. So we're going to put that to the side, and we're going to get the rest of our ingredients for the sauce. These are the ingredients for our sauce. So what you see here is a medium onion. I have an entire medium onion chopped up, but I'm only actually going to use half for the sauce. We have our roasted vegetables. We have our tomatoes, our bell peppers looking good, some fresh basil. Now in this bowl, we have 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of jalapeno garlic pepper, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of Mrs. Dash, 1 teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and half a teaspoon of sea salt. So I took those ingredients and added them to a blender, but I also added in 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, 1 teaspoon of maple syrup, and also 1/4 cup of veggie broth. Now go ahead and make any adjustments that you see fit. This is what the sauce looks like. I love the color. I love the texture. I'll go ahead and put this to the side. Let's go ahead and move on to our toppings. I am using Follow Your Heart smoked Gouda. As you can see, those are slices. They didn't have the crumbles. So I used the slices, pulled out my shredder, and got the cheese. Look at that, beautiful. Let's move on to our additional toppings. So I have here some Roma tomatoes. Got those cut up nicely. Also some yellow bell peppers. I'm adding on some spinach, red onion, and some jalapenos, zucchini, and white mushrooms. Perfect. Now, you know what? Let's go back to our dough. Let's check on it and see how it's doing. Okay, let's take a look. This is exactly what I was looking for. I want the dough to rise, and it has risen. So now it is time to go ahead and get this situated. So I am going to put this on my board. I'm going to be sure to add flour so that it doesn't stick. I'm going to kind of knead it a little bit, and then it's time to pull out the rolling pin. So now we have our rolling pin. We're going to stretch this dough out. And you'll want to go ahead and make a reference to your cooking sheet or whatever you're going to use for your pizza. I kind of use that as a guide to see how much I needed to actually stretch this out. So I have my dough on a cooking sheet. I also added some flour at the bottom before I put it there to make sure that it doesn't stick. The next step in the process is to brush the dough with some extra virgin olive oil. Make sure that it's coated all over and that it's even. And what I've already done is preheat the oven to 450 degrees. And I'm going to pop this in the oven for about 5 to 7 minutes. So keep a close eye on it. This is what it looks like after about 5.5 minutes. You can see how it's changed. The dough has risen a little bit. The crust area is more defined. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the oven at this time. And next up, I'm going to take some vegan butter. Got our butter melted down. Now, I did season the butter with some good as can be jalapeno garlic pepper. And I'm going to go ahead and brush the butter all over the crust area. You can add whatever kind of seasonings you want or just do the butter by itself. That is totally fine. And next up, I'm going to go ahead and add the sauce. I love this color. It looks like a burnt orange kind of. I love how it looks. So, of course, you want to make sure you get as much sauce or as little. I know not everybody likes a lot of sauce, but I have a lot of sauce on mine. Next up is the cheese. I'm going to go ahead and spread that over evenly over all of the pizza. I like to get all the corners covered and make it as cheesy as possible. Okay, and then next up, we're going to go ahead and add some spinach. And then, of course, I'm going to go ahead and add the extra toppings. We got our tomatoes. These are kind of like my air quotes pepperonis, the tomatoes. I love tomatoes. We're adding our zucchini. Now I'm adding the mushrooms as well. Now moving on to the bell peppers. And again, add whatever you want. That's the best thing about a pizza. Go ahead and add whatever kind of ingredients that you like. We have our red onions. Perfect. And now the jalapenos. And now let's go ahead and get a good look at our pizza up close. We have our sauce. We have lots of cheese. We got a ton of vegetables. I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven at 450 for about 10 to 15 minutes. And this is our pizza fresh out of the oven. Everything cooked down, our cheese melted down. Look at that crust, nice and golden brown. I love it. I know that it's crunchy just like I like. So I let this rest for about 10 to 15 minutes, cool down just a little bit so that it was easier for me to go ahead and slice this evenly. And it's now that time. Let's go ahead and move on to the taste test. All right, y'all, my good people, it is that moment of truth. It is time to go ahead and taste the pizza, all right? Let's see. Let me give you a close-up on my slice. Let's go ahead and see if this thing is good. Okay. I'm not mad. Let me tell you something. Usually I struggle when it comes to vegan cheese, but this Follow Your Heart smoked Gouda is actually really good. Okay. We got a smokiness. There's a hint of sweetness in the sauce because y'all saw me add a little bit of maple syrup. Okay. I'm not mad about this. I'm not mad at this pizza at all. Taste the crust. Let me do it one more time. Okay. That crust got a bite to it because it has the jalapeno garlic pepper on it. I like that. All right, this is okay with me. So let me know if y'all gonna try this recipe, and if not, I mean, how about having a pizza night soon with your kids, with your family? This is not a bad idea. This reminds me of my childhood. Me and my dad and my mom, we used to always make the bobbly pizzas. So this takes me back to my childhood. So this feels very nostalgic. It really does. I'm about to go ahead and finish the rest of this pizza. I'll meet y'all in the comments. Let me know what you think about the recipe. I appreciate y'all watching. Make the best of the day and be good to yourself. Peace.
I be beaming, I be booming down that block. Everywhere you go, you know